Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TI8 coverage, TI8 qualifier coverage, brought to you by BTS and Moonduck. We will be casting the first best of three of the upper bracket of the South American qualifiers. Torus against SG is about to begin. The draft has just started. I'm syndereN, this is BSJ, and we're going to do our first cast together ever.
Yes.
Which should be...
momentous occasion.
Momentous occasion. Don't worry, guys. None of us is doing camera. We've got a cameraman, because else we would be... making everybody nauseous.
They would know by about 2 minutes into the game that we were doing camera.
30 seconds.
Yeah, 30. Okay. I was trying to be a little more generous than that, but I got my boys syndereN and Flea here for the first series I get to cast so far, and I played with them for about a month and a half or so on VGJ, and they kind of took the opposite approach. I feel like most regions, like the supports tend to stay, and like the cores migrate to like captains in that region. I feel like that's what I've usually seen. And in this case, they took 2 supports from NA and migrated to SA. So I think syndereN is a great captain. And so far, so good, though. I think they were 4-1 in the group stage.
I think so, and they were the one team that beat Pain, I believe, in a game.
Yeah. I think you are correct. The first game they beat them.
Yeah, and I guess based on tiebreaker rules, that is why SG are playing first. I think they're top seed.
Okay.
And Torus got 4th. This is what I think. I don't remember it 100%, but pretty sure that's how it went down. I'm sure production can let us know if I'm totally wrong about everything as usual. Oh, thanks, Rob. Okay, so let's get into, let's look a bit at the picks here. So first of all, bans from SG, Lycan, super big pick right now. Clockwork, very common. DP has not been run that much as a first phase pick in other regions that I've seen.
China, that's about all I've seen.
China has run it. Europe, or well, we haven't got to Europe yet, but in the Opens it wasn't prioritized that high. CIS did not even pick the hero, I think.
Yeah.
A single game that I watched. So it's always interesting to see how different the regions go about it. Now we've got the Naga and IO bans from Torus that are very common across regions, and the Visage first phase ban against SG. And they're going to grab the Skywrath Mage +1. So
definitely got to deny that syndereN Skywrath Mage Beastmaster combo. syndereN's like, I think it's a perfectly acceptable thing in a captain, but he usually only plays like 3 or 4 heroes, and he plays them all very well though. So I think I expect to see his pick probably coming out soonish, because the IO and the Skywrath Mage already taken away, and those are kind of 2 of his premier heroes.
Does he play Warlock?
I believe so. In this meta, I think you kind of have to.
Yeah, this looks like a good Warlock game.
Yeah, usually considered the counter to Sky, just because Sky wins the lane by constantly arcane bolting you, and Warlock just counters that with his heal.
Offsets the Axe as well. He could go Oracle as well as an option. No.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, pretty straightforward standard picks here from both teams. I was thinking Oracle as an option just because it's syndereN. He likes his Oracle a lot, right? And it removes Battle Hunger with the first spell, and you can Fate's Edict the Arcane Bolt, so it doesn't really work from the beginning, but it's something you can do later on. Oracle is actually a great hero against Skywrath in many ways after the laning stage, but laning stage is king right now, so gotta go for that Warlock and get some more team fight. What do you, how much have you been watching the games of Torus? Because I'm not too familiar with most of their players. I think I watched 1 or 2 games. Do you think this is usual for them to start like this?
Yeah, usually they pick Benjaz's hero somewhere towards the very end. I think Grant was the one talking about that Benjaz like loves his Lifestealer. I think that's like their go-to pick. So it's there it is, banned right there. Surprisingly, like it's a signature pick, because I think Lifestealer is quite bad versus Beastmaster, obviously, because Lifestealer low armor but has the magic immunity, so he's weak to the physical magic immunity piercing stuff, and that's exactly what Beastmaster is. But I think that from what I saw in the Torus gaming is they have like very comfort zone heroes, especially in the cores, such as the Lifestealer, and in those comfort zone heroes they were winning games, and outside of it those are the games they lost. And I think when you look at this tier of Dota, I'm all too familiar with it, you have like a very drastic difference between the best heroes they play and like the next tier down for those. Like, it's not based on how strong the hero is, it's based on how good they are at that individual hero. So I think in these qualifiers targeting those is really good.
So you'd say if you compare it to other regions or higher tiers, that these players are like at 100% comfort zone on a handful of heroes, and below that the drop off is really serious. Like,
yeah, I believe it's very heavy. Yeah, but like, it's something where you deceive yourself into believing I can play this hero like pretty well because you like won some pubs with it, or you feel like mechanically you're sound on it, but it's not enough to know what buttons to press, You have to know what your timings are, how your hero scales in the late game, like exactly like the nuances of how you win lane matchups and
itemization.
Exactly, because in these pro matches, when you play against teams like VP, like Kyle, last time I casted with him, all he could talk about was their itemization, their approach to the lanes. Like everything's just perfect, and if you don't know that level of perfect, you're just going to lose to those better teams.
Yep.
So then they banned the PL. I think he's definitely one of the better heroes against Beastmaster in lane, just because you can't purge the axes, like the stacking debuff and high armor too.
Also, one of the better carries against Warlock, in my opinion. Fatal Bonds don't bother you as much. Yes, it hits you, and then you just doppelganger it off on your main. You can run Warlock down even through the upheaval. PL is one of the heroes that can connect on you and take you out in the back line. So I think it's a fine ban, and again, I believe that is a comfort pick for benjaz, right?
Yeah.
It's one of his best. So
most notably about Warlock is I don't like heroes that have to commit heavily to fights, so I like PL just because you can kind of like send illusions at him and kind of zone him away. Because if you have these heroes that kind of have to run in to the fight, like even Lifestealer kind of satisfies that, but if you have these heroes that just have to run in, you're gonna get rocked, sometime, and it's really hard to disengage from that on most heroes.
Get rocked.
Yeah, I thought that sounded that had
good.
more of a
I like that
pizzazz to it.
That's good. Isn't it pronounced pizzazz? I mean,
I'm debating if I want to get into this with you right now. I think we'll wait till like maybe second game to get into pronunciation.
I like pizzazz though. It has ass in it, so it's got to be good.
Yeah, I like the ass. Yeah.
Dragon Knight ban from Torus. I think that is more of a lineup ban than a targeted player ban. I don't feel like that's a classic Adriano hero, but it definitely works very well with the Beastmaster Warlock, and they also banned the Chen that combines with this 5-man playstyle that Beastmaster Warlock want to go for. So nothing to complain about as far as those bans go. Taurus, however, are taking quite a bit of time on the pick here, and that, when you have a ban into a pick, often we see more experienced teams not really drain any time here. Like you're playing, okay, we're going to ban A, pick B straight away, but they seem a little bit uncertain about how to attack this 1-2 from SG, and they're using a lot of time right now.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
don't see that on third pick.
I actually always find it a bit awkward when you have the Skywrath Mage 4, because most 4s are melee, so usually you don't want to have like 2 range or 2 melee supports on average. Like it's not something you can't do, but I think of like Undying or something like that. But then they get this Disruptor, and so the way I look at it is now they have to make sure they pick like both these supports. Like you have the Skywrath Mage with Axe, but with this Disruptor, I feel like if you put a standard 4-position hero against him in lane with the Beastmaster, it's going to potentially struggle with the problem of getting ran at. Like, that's how I look at lanes. Like, you're going to get ran at by this Beastmaster Axes. Like, no set of ranged heroes can withstand, like, the Beastmaster harass. So, like, it kind of pigeonholes your carry pick, like, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pick, like, this melee bruiser that can soak a lot of damage, and then you don't have to sustain with it. So
what do you think about solving that problem by putting the Skywrath as a safe lane support and running the Disruptor as the off lane support?
That's something I think we talked about yesterday when we were looking at pubs. That is possible, but then doesn't that like weaken the power of your that's exactly what I had in mind, like something like that.
Yeah, that's a good pick. The thing is, if you put Skywrath against the Warlock safe lane dual lane, how much are you really going to do? I think the goal for Torus should be to have Skywrath in the opposite lane of Warlock, and the problem that they have kind of is that both of their supports are single target nukers. We have Thunderstrike and you have Arcane Bolt, and Warlock kind of counters both of them, so I'm not sure I like the Disruptor pick for laning reasons. And now that there's an Elder Titan, I don't know if Torus can expect to just win their safe lane with any composition, really, at this point.
The way that I look at it is, you mentioned how teams are prioritizing the laning stage, and the way that I see it is, if you lose the game by 5 minutes in, you can't win the game. Doesn't matter like what your game plan is. Doesn't matter how team fights play out, how map resources or objective taking. If you've lost the lane so badly at 5 to 10 minutes into the game, it just doesn't matter. And
that's how VP win half the game?
Yeah, exactly. If that's not proof enough, VP is definitely, And so when I looked at that pick from the Disruptor, I thought something like Undying was kind of the only thing I could think of that would prevent exactly what I'm seeing SG doing right now. So I'm kind of fearful for Torus Gaming's laning setup just because, like you said, they're both single target supports. So that's an interesting pick, and it synergizes well with Disruptor for the Glimpse into Rupture. But the thing that I look at this as is Bloodseeker's a hero that he's good in lane if he can walk up and CS constantly, because if he's CSing, he's sustaining, and if he's sustaining, he like has way more damage with Blood Rage than any other hero in the game. But I look at this and say they don't have a support that can take focus away from him. The supports, or the ET Beastmaster can probably just ignore whatever supports in his lane and spend the entire lane hitting him.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think the nice thing about this Bloodseeker pick is that he's a flex pick. He can go mid and safe lane, and I think they might need to put him mid in the end of this.
I think they picked Monkey King because it's like a lane counter to Bloodseeker and Axe.
But I think we're a bit in agreement. I think this Disruptor third pick is a problem, and I think that should have been an Elder Titan or an Undying or something like that. Like, they could have picked this hero that SG ended up going for to secure their safe lane, or to send against the Warlock and have a different kind of impact. Elder Titan is a hero that can actually just, pummel Warlock or pummel his lane partner a lot harder than Skywrath can. He's not nearly as resource dependent on getting full value out of the clarity like Skywrath is and whatnot. And especially Disruptor's basically a weaker Skywrath in lane from a harassment standpoint. So
ever since the nerfs especially.
Yeah. Pugna. Oh, that's interesting. Great hero against Skywrath, obviously. Decent against Disruptor from a Netherward perspective. You can
probably lanes decently against Bloodseeker.
Crepify when Bloodseeker runs at people after rupturing them, or you can just decrepify the Bloodseeker himself. They have a really powerful synergy. This is a lineup that I've seen years ago, actually. Elder Titan Magic Resistance Reduction Aura with Pugna Netherward. You put the Spirit on top of the supports that spend a lot of mana, and they actually take pure damage from the Netherward.
That's scary. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
It is insane. So think of Skywrath Mage, right? His mana cost on his ult level 1 is like
he'll
330.
Actually kill himself.
It's 300. And the Netherward level 4 is 2 times mana cost. So it's 600 pure damage when he casts a Mystic Flare.
Ow.
He almost one-shots himself. It's not fun. But, some things need to be combined for it. The upside for SG from the Alliance perspective, I think, just by picking like this, they're way stronger in 5-man. Their 5-man is insanely powerful this game. And I feel like Torus needs to solve this, or they need to find a way to run over lanes, but I just think that train is left.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a pick that they can have that trims up the weaknesses that we've mentioned so far in the draft. And I think SG Esports, like, if you just... So, I hate to use the terminology, but I look at this, like, dangler idea. I think you need a hero that's just going to get gone on. Like a Luna or something like that. Something that is just going to be in front. Yeah, okay, I said Monkey King in the previous one, but they didn't pick it, so I didn't think they'd pick it at all. But it's the lane counter to Bloodseeker, Axe, and it's a hero that goes in first. Like, once he gets BKB, his job's going to be, like, I don't care if I get Blink called, I'm still going to hit you 4 times, get my Jingu off. They just need this hero that enables the rest of their team, because they have so much counter initiation and, like, heroes that want to backline. Because even though ET's a melee hero and a strength hero, he generally wants to backline and fight. So does Pugna, so does Warlock. And even though Beastmaster can get pickoffs, he's usually not the one that wants to, like, start a team fight if all 5 heroes are, like, together.
No, it's generally... Oh, it's a TA pickup here, so it will be a safe lane Bloodseeker. Yeah, I would say you generally want to have some sort of front line. Like, it's been part of the reason why heroes like Dragon Knight were popular for a long time, was they can take towers and they can lead the charge. There's been a couple of strategies that I remember seeing that really stood out to me. One of them, we're going to reference VP again. They had a lineup where they played the Knight lineup, where they had Dragon Knight and Omni Knight. They've run this multiple times, where you put this wall in front that's really difficult to commit on, but you have to go on eventually because he's taking your tower. And the moment you go on him, you repel him and you heal him.
Yeah.
And you take the fight from there. So you have like a very stable, easy to understand, easy to execute way of starting fights. Now, I wouldn't say Monkey King is exactly that hero, but it's something. Beastmaster can roar and go in, but he's not like a tanky frontliner. He's just gonna die if he commits. So
Monkey King is not a hero that like naturally does it, but he can itemize to do it.
Yeah,
is how I kind of looked at it.
That is true.
The reason why I think they picked it overall of any other hero is because of the lane matchups. You have the Axe, you have the Bloodseeker. Both heroes hard countered by Monkey King, and after all, you only see the 2 cores, so you might as well do your best to counter them.
Yep. So we got Leo Style last pick, Templar Assassin. I think this is his most played hero. I've at least seen some of his relics in pubs. He has 1 bajillion damage done with everything and whatnot, so he's definitely very comfortable. I don't know if this is a good TA game from any other perspective than the lane, though. And that's something, at least. Like, they at least have their laning going going well for them in that aspect. There's nobody who can really go mid and beat this TA. I think Pugna, it's one of the matchups Pugna loses. Monkey King loses that matchup as well. Beastmaster loses it as well. So as far as that goes, it's good. But
I feel like if Axe has a bad game, which he's against Monkey King, I feel like he has to set the pace for them because TA is going to spend her first like 12, 15 minutes farming Blink Deso. And, I mean, she can do a little things after she gets one or the other, but for the most part, TA wants to hit creeps for at least 1 or 2 items. And then you have this Bloodseeker who I'm fully expecting to get pressured. I don't think his start's going to be ideal. He's going to draw a lot of attention away from his other 2 cores. But here we go with the DCs.
Did you want to say DDoS? Or?
Yeah, I was going to say DDoS.
You're like, how can I get myself out of this?
Yeah, DC.
Well, they all came back fast, so it looks like everything's all right. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like the set of things that need to go right for this Radiant lineup is probably a bit too optimistic to expect to be met. But if everything clicks, it's definitely a competitive game. But I'm a big fan of Dire's lineup for if they break even in lanes.
Yes.
They're gonna start tunneling down these towers with Pugna and Beastmaster Aura. And the Radiant will have to defend with really minimal teamfight options. You got a Blink Call, but what if the Blink Dagger isn't online? You got a glimpse into Static Storm. Well, what if the enemy team just isn't even running away? Like, they don't actually care. They're just going to fight straight into you with Warlock, Golem, and Elder Titan Stomp. It's rough.
I feel like at this tier, like anything that's not tier 1 Dota, anything that's not like top tier teams in the world, however many mistakes it takes for you to lose the game, I think is a lot about whose draft is like better overall. And I feel like if Torus win a fight, if TA dies, they're never taking an objective. Like, they can't do anything. They have no physical damage or tower taking without the TA. And then with SG, I feel like any fight that they win or any kill they get, even like just a single pick off, will lead to at least a tower with this Pugna Beastmaster. The lanes will always be shoved, and then they always have this, like, they have a Aura hero that makes everybody do tower damage, or they just have Pugna to blast the towers down.
Yep.
So I definitely favor SG's draft in this one.
One thing the Radiant has that the Dire doesn't is they have a better way of taking Roche, at least. They have Blood Rage plus TA, a very quick Roche killer combo, especially if somebody in their team is going to go for a medallion. You Blood Rage TA, you Blood Rage the Roche both, and she deals a truckload of damage. It doesn't take any because of refraction, so you can... That's another thing they can take advantage of in fights, is TA is one of the better heroes to Blood Rage, in my opinion, just because the amplification doesn't matter for all of the refraction hits. It makes 0 difference. But, again, look at the Dire lineup. Feels like refraction is going to be not the biggest problem in the world. It's pretty good this game, but... There's all these random things. I like when I look at TA, there's 2 ways of breaking refraction, right? You target her with something specific that breaks the charges like Viper or Jakiro or whatever. That's one way. Or the other one is there's just so much random stuff that it's bound to break.
Yeah.
There's like a Elder Titan Spirit will take one off. Nether Ward will take one off. There's going to be some axes flying around, a boar, Monkey King ulti. Maybe there's Fatal Bonds on him.
I was going to say, does Fatal Bonds take a tick every time it procs for like somebody else?
If it does enough damage, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Which is unlikely, I guess. What is the damage?
I think
break?
It's 50.
5 or more.
Oh, it's 5? Oh.
So in order to deal 5 damage with Fatal Bonds, the instance the other guy takes needs to do more than 20. But I think it's after reduction, so it depends on a couple things.
I thought it was
so
way
actually,
more than 5.
Most hero attacks should probably do it, actually. So that's another good point. I think Fatal Bonds should be pretty good against it. I'll see how it goes down. So... Let's do a breakdown of the laning stage here. It's going to be the expected Skywrath Axe dual offlane. They're going to play into Monkey King Warlock. I think SG are going to be pretty happy with this lane matchup. Skywrath is burning through all of his mana without truly forcing them away too much. They're going to heal up. Mid lane, we got Pugna against TA, the TA favorite matchup. Going to see how well Leo Style does against Adriano. And then bottom lane, we got Liposa and F. Lee against Benjas and KZE on the Disruptor. What's his full nickname? I'm actually not sure. This... does not ring a bell.
I'm not gonna lie, that F. Lee pronunciation, just like that was awesome.
Is that good?
I'm
or
gonna
bad?
call his name's Flea, but I'm gonna call him F. Lee.
I call him F. Lee because it's Francis
yeah,
Lee, right?
I don't know. F. Lee, I like it. It has a nice ring to it.
Oh, you're welcome. He hits really hard, by the way, with the stapler. This is one of his best heroes, I believe. I feel like I've seen him play Elder Titan a decent amount.
He knows what he's doing on this hero for sure. And I feel like one thing that we commonly see on Dire, at least, is they have these. Like, they'll try to, I guess he's not doing it now, but they'll try to triple stack these Ancient the 2 camps up here, because then you can, like, send the spirit from those camps back to you in lane. I've had it in pubs where the the ET will then hit for like a bonus 150 at 3 minutes into the game, and it's unplayable.
The hidden ones have
I got 3-shotted as a lifestealer once.
I remember this guy in EU pubs who did it like every game, and people just started blocking his ancient camps at the beginning of the game. And then when he couldn't do that, he felt
suddenly.
He played like a super glass cannon build too. He would go, I think, Shadowblade first item and just run at people and try to two-shot them out of invis.
I like that.
And then when there's a Sentra on the ground, he just dies to everything. He had some very varying success in the games, but I do remember the plays.
You gotta admire the balls on that man, though.
Yep.
Benja is actually doing pretty well bottom compared to what I expected. He's obviously getting out CS by Leposa, but the fact that he's not getting bullied away and still has a decent amount of regen left. This lane only gets worse, though, with Beastmaster. His axes double in damage from level 1 to 2. And ET, I like the ET build. A lot of ETs, you know, used to go boots, but now they're just going this bruiser build of a ton of regen and a stout shield. And you can't out-trade an ET at this stage in the game.
I feel like pretty much boots first is a dead build for now, with how expensive it is and how laning stage works.
Public service announcement.
Public service announcement. Please do not buy boots first. Anyone. It doesn't matter what hero you're playing or what role you're playing. Boots first sucks right now. Don't buy it. The reason being, roaming is not as good as it used to be. Like, it's not about moving from lane to lane. The lanes are way more static. You need to be strong and sustainable in lane, and you don't offer very much with boots. You want a stout shield, you want regen so you can trade and fight. Or if you do want a move speed item, you can get something like a Wind Lace if it makes a difference to you. And then you can still afford regen and something. It looks like this bottom lane will be a first blood for Leposa. One more hit would do it, but the magic stick charge is actually enough. Benja's turning around, has to yield though, and will be running away.
He's super fast, has a salve and 7 stick charges, and there's no salve on Beastmaster, so that's actually really good exchange for Radiant.
He got one from F-Lee, I think.
Oh, did he?
No, he got his own. He dropped it on the ground for some reason. I'm not sure what that was.
Okay, he's faked me out as much as he faked out Radiant.
Nice bait. So, one thing to keep in mind about this bottom lane and why Bloodseeker's doing relatively well, he's not doing great, is obviously the TA is trying to harass Pugna as much as possible in mid, and the Skywrath Axe, even though they're not dominating top, at least they're keeping these heroes floating on low HP some of the time. And that does make a big difference for Benjes with his 102 build on Bloodseeker bottom, but he's still losing the lane. Quite convincing win down here for Leposa, as expected. And basically, if you look across the lanes, mid is breaking pretty much even, slight advantage for Leo style on denies. Top lane is definitely dire favored with, actually not. Monkey King is currently not out CSing Axe. That's a bit surprising to me. Skywrath Harassment is obviously really powerful, but I thought when Monkey King started hitting this level 3 that they could start playing aggressively.
Yeah, because of the level 2 and Jingu, but I think what happened with both these lanes is that they were kind of already at a slight disadvantage at level 2, and then by the time these heroes hit their like level 3, which Bloodseeker I think and Monkey King rely on, like it's kind of awkward that they're like, it seems like the two carries are having the hardest game this game, and it makes sense because the Skywrath Axe and the Beastmaster ET, but at the same time, when you pick this Monkey King, you do pick him to counter this Axe, so it's not exactly what they expected, I'm assuming, but they're fine with this because Beastmaster's the tempo setter, and so is Pugna. Monkey King is not the hero you need to make space in the early to mid game, so him having, like, it's not even like his start's bad, but him not having, like, a perfect start is absolutely acceptable.
He's definitely doing totally fine. Now he's managed to draw with Axe after he got a big wave into his tower and got a lot of CS out of that, so cost to bill is doing totally fine. The one thing about Monkey King, I feel like it's a delicate hero in the sense that, like you said, you don't... Oh, actually, he's going to get Glimpse back. This is a triple gank. Good call into the... Well, is it enough? Yeah, that's more than enough.
If he got that Jingu off, it could have been scary because he gets that stun on like 2 heroes and 4 creeps, suddenly he's full health.
Unexpected Disruptor rotation, I think they were not thinking that. They're going to go for the counterplay bottom with the information that they got, but Benjas is still relatively quick. Will run away and Disruptor TP's back down.
He's got phase boots on Beastmaster, though.
Yeah, he's strong. This bottom lane is rough now. He can harass really
I just look at a hero like Beastmaster, and he's a hero that he's feast or famine. He either has like this crazy good start where he can bully your carry all game, or wait, what? Where did?
Oh, Adriano just came down. I didn't see that kill either. Pugna just ran into Disruptor out at in the jungle, blew him up.
Oh, he didn't have Glimpse, that's why.
Yeah, he used it on the top kill. It's such a long cooldown on level 1 and 2 especially.
Did not expect that kill at all.
Nope. Well, he's going to run back to mid. That's a bit of more space for Leo style, though. So what I was going to say about Monkey King is I feel like this hero, you just said Feast and Famine, or Feast or Famine about Beastmaster. I feel like Monkey King is similar in that sense. Like, if you have a really bad start, Monkey King is not really going to come back. And at the same time, if you have a really great start, it doesn't take that much of a setback to break your game. So I think it's important for Monkey King to have a good start, not necessarily a fantastic one. And then he needs to find the right balance where he gets some sort of plays done correctly without dying too much, or he just falls off. You know, it is a snowball carry. There's no real denying that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the thing about a hero like that is his survivability doesn't change unless except for a BKB, his items don't change his survivability. It's always based on his tree dance, and that is always cancelable at any stage in the game. So that's why he feels so gankable. That's why you're right. He's very fragile in that capacity.
Nice damage bottom from Liposa. Should be fine on benJez though, but he's really trying to pressure this Bloodseeker out of lane. Bloodseeker gets tricky in lane when you reach a third health because you're scared to go for CS. Top lane, they get the call out onto Costabile. He does have charges, but not enough. Easy dunk for Devato Loco. I'm probably saying that horribly wrong, but that's
hey man, that's way better than I could ever do. And
he has Loco in his name. He's crazy. I like that.
I like it too. I like him crazy.
What is his actual nickname? Is that his actual nickname? CR7?
I like Devato Loco.
Devato Loco.
Yeah. You can't beat that for sure. Like if that wasn't his original nickname, if he hears his cast, he's changing it to that.
He's keeping it now. Adriano gonna do a little bit of sucky in mid onto this TA. Half health gone, but has 20 stick charges. Is totally fine here. Just pushing out this mid lane.
He does have an ancient stack as well.
Yep. Lots of denies on the TA worth noting. Is a full level ahead of Pugna after that Pugna rotation to kill Disruptor, as well as 16 denies. This is what TA will do to a lot of matchups, but
bottom lane roar.
Adriano's doing fine. Yep, that's a roar. And, well, we got a Skywrath TP in. Let's see if they can get for counterplay here. Axe is here as well. Lots of rotation force. I do believe they will be able to bring out this Beastmaster eventually with a glimpse into the field, but the Fatal Bond's actually doing work. Liposa will go down to Culling Blade, and no glimpse available, so I think this might be the end of it. 5 seconds on a call. Actually, StanKing going for some previous level jukes here do turn out to be next level, as FLE does get a stomp off, and that will be the end of this exchange. When I see a play like this, I feel like Radiant lost. Like, they've rotated so many heroes to kill a Beastmaster, and they even lost their Bloodseeker, but let's say he didn't die. This is such a big commitment. Monkey King is free top for like a full minute now. What do you think?
Once this dissipates, I will comment on that. It looks like they're going to get another kill. I feel like they need to just chill on SG right now because of exactly what you're saying. Monkey King has this free lane, and the reason why I hate this rotation, like in these type of spots, is it's not necessarily the rotation I think about. It's what happens after the rotation. And since Axe TP'd bottom, the only core that can go top is Bloodseeker, and then your Bloodseeker is like, is your level 5 Bloodseeker going to TP top into a level 6 Monkey King? Like, that's not going to happen, right? So suddenly you're then forced to have the Bloodseeker come back bottom, which just has this awkward, like, 2 minutes following the fight. Yeah. So unless you win that fight convincingly, like 3-for-0 or 3-for-1, then that next minute or two is going to be so inefficient for you that like exactly like you said, like I'm much more inclined for a core like the Axe to rotate if the Bloodseeker had an option to go to the safe lane, the opponent's safe lane.
Yeah,
but since he doesn't, it makes the rotation super awkward.
Now they did do the switcheroo here, but it took, like you said, Axe had to cross
the walk all the way back.
Map. The long walk. It wasn't really a walk of shame. I mean, he did get 2 kills bottom, so he's probably okay with it.
But creeps, man. Creeps are worth way more than kills.
Creeps matter a lot, and you don't like seeing this. Bloodseeker's jungling mid at 10. He is terrified of going to the bottom lane, and this is just way less efficient for him. Even though he's fast at it and sustainable, actually there was a kill mid. My bad. Will be going the way of TA and Disruptor.
Yeah, they used the Static Storm. I guess he used the Tome to get level 6.
Now he's already level 7. I feel like Disruptor is one of those heroes where the change from getting level 5 to 7 is absolutely the biggest. It's one thing to get Static Storm, which is incredible, but level 4 Glimpse is just, it's like twice as good as level 3 Glimpse.
Yeah, it almost
the
half
cast
the
range is not much better,
yeah.
but the cooldown is so much better.
It looks like both teams taking the opponent's safe lane tower. Pretty standard. I think the Pugna has to be a little more careful in those spots because based on like what SG is doing at that spot, like the only play that Torus has is mid lane, so just in those kind of spots, it's really important that these players like play a little bit safer. Obviously, Disruptor makes your out of positioning a little like much more drastic.
Get a roar mid, I think.
And the roar onto the TA, followed by the rock and the sucky, and he goes down immediately. And the stomp onto the Disruptor, who is gonna share the same fate. And with the Pugna and the Warlock Golem, they will. Oh, the Axe Blink just comes online.
Nice decrep though.
Saves him with the decrep. Didn't even hit the threshold. Like he had the stick immediately out of the threshold, and they're committing so much to defending this tower, and even if they get they don't even get the deny because of the Pugna Blast. That's never happening. I love the Pugna's item, the first item Yules against this Axe, because as long as he does not get called, like the Axe is the initiation is gonna be the Axe with the Skywrath Mage damage, but none of the Axe damage is actually gonna come into play.
It's like a multi-utility item this game, right? First of all, it's good against the Call. It's good against Static Storm. It's good against Skywrath Silence. There's like many things that Pugna will be bothered by this game that he can solve with this one item.
Yules is actually like counters their entire lineup.
It's
even TA
good.
like blinking on you, you can just Yules yourself or the TA depending on the situation.
Yeah, you have two options. You have both the Decrepify and Yules now against the TA. It's like you have a lot of luxury in the fight now, or a lot of options. That always feels great to play like that.
So certain lineups you want to tank up against, and certain lineups you want to like just avoid them dealing damage to you at all with like items like Yules and Ghosts and stuff. And then this kind of game, Torus has a lineup that they just need to avoid the damage. But Flea might get caught out here, but the blink call onto that illusion got what was coming to it, and
it died.
Yeah, it died. They still have forts, so it looks like they're gonna. The Monkey King isn't even showing up to this fight. He has no intention of, no ult leveled, but they're just defending with the Warlock sitting behind the Pugna. And nice illusion bait by 40R there.
Very good. Yeah, what we saw in that mid-fight, just to recap, was basically what we talked about pre-game with what the strength of this dire draft is.
Bottom lane, he gets glimpsed right before the...
Just in the end.
That cast range, as you mentioned, but they can't even go on him, I don't think. He's just standing his ground.
Well...
And he says, come at me, bro. He still has his stun.
Well, this is awkward. Pugna's actually showing up down here. There is a Blood Right coming out, but it's not going to connect.
And he's just out.
And that kill failed. And now Benjas could be in trouble. A lot of damage coming out here from Adriano. He needs a little extra. Doesn't reach the Yules toward the end, but Boundless into getting stuck in trees. Custabil not too happy about that one, probably, and Benjas should be able to get away. So all of this action for nothing. Interesting. So... Let's quickly just go over this mid-fight just as an end comment on it. The Dire grouped up, they went for their combo spells, and they just overwhelmed really quickly. So the Radiant, in order to take fights, need to go for like these flank plays or skirmishes and try to avoid that SG get set in position. Blink call in mid. It's not going to connect though. Stanking will be jumped on by the Blink from TA, opting to go for that Blink Dagger first instead of Deso, and should be an easy dunk here for Dvato Loco. Did the tower get taken by TA? It did, so no deny on that. A lot of progress being made here by Leo Style. It's having a pretty good game here. Top net worth, but only by a little bit, which is not too promising. TA generally wants to start skyrocketing at this point, but the other heroes on SG's team are keeping up nicely.
From my experience, TA suffers a lot against Beastmaster as the game goes on, just because TA's like never want to buy Lincolns. They always go just BKB and they run into the fight. So any like hard lockdown for BKB tends to cause TA some issues as the game goes on. So this is a game where, since they have two of the top 3 net worths, I think they're definitely doing well. But TA cannot solo carry this game, and Bloodseeker is going to have to scale into this game as well. So they're gonna have to make some serious space for him as he's jungling. But they have the Shadow Blade, they get the Roar onto the Axe, follow up with the ET Earth Splitter, and he is going to go down to the Pugna Ward, and so will the Skywrath Mage. Double kill for 4DR, and that's just a play where I really like the Dire Vision there, because it shows like when... I've talked about this too much, but I'm not going to mention the dead lane. Okay, I mentioned it. But the other team's going to be farming this area, almost certainly. They're going to be looking for plays from the Radiant side.
Mid lane, actually, speaking of plays, Stanking, easy kill.
I took too long to explain. But they're going to be making, like, almost every time somebody on the Radiant's going to be pushing top and then farming these 2 jungle camps. And Dire know this, so they put a ward that sees both jungle camps. They see the Axe, so they get the initiation, and they just overwhelm them with numbers. They bring 4 heroes, and you can't possibly fight 4 heroes on SG, as you mentioned, like, with these team fight ultimates and the control. Like, you just can't fight Warlock, ET, Beastmaster at this stage in the game. Even Pugna Ward, like you said, can just one-shot some of these supports. And he went for Blink Dagger after the Yule Scepter.
Oh, interesting. He had the lens in quick buy, but chose to go for the dagger. I wonder what the logic is here. If he feels like, okay, if I have a dagger, I can always save against Axe Call, because if I'm just in the remote proximity, I will be able to blink Yules the Axe, or if he considers it a way for himself to just disengage after Yules. It's like, okay, if I Yule the Skywrath Silence, this way I can reset my position and get back in. This is a pretty unusual Pugna build. Both items, really. Most of the time we see Pugnas go for an early lens, and he's going to be getting it as his 3rd item this game, so interesting.
SG was smoked up, but they got scanned by the Radiant, so the Radiant knows this is happening. And Leo Style is baiting on the high ground while waiting in meld. It's probably going to turn into nothing, but meanwhile, during this, the way I look at it is nothing's happening, but Monkey King's farming and nobody on the Radiant side is, so it's still a decent map control smoke, even if it doesn't lead into anything.
And the Radiant seem a bit scared of playing in the top area after what happened before. They did get the D ward out, but they don't really know where they're safe, and the Dire seems to have a much better understanding about what areas on the map are theirs, under their control. Hawk helps with that as well. He's going to fly out and scout. So I'm not a big fan of this Monkey King build that Costabile is going in this game. I think going Battle Fury first on a very tempo-intensive hero is a bit counterproductive. Like, you could go for an Echo Saber and play a lot more with your team, and then after the moves are successful, you can fall back for a farming build if you think it's necessary in the game. This is maybe a slightly different Monkey King game than most because he's a true one in this game. It's like no other real carrier or physical damage except maybe a bit of a Beastmaster. But basically, you're pigeonholing yourself into doing nothing. It's been 17 minutes and Monkey King doesn't have an assist, which is really uncommon, and he's just not looking for it because he feels the pressure of needing to farm a lot.
This is the way he plays. I've played a decent amount of pubs against him, and he always plays like if he plays.
There was a
got
Warlock.
two-shotted. Yeah, I didn't even get the chance to go with the camera of mine because he just died so fast. But Monkey King, the way that Costabile plays is like he just. Every game I've played against him, he either plays a Flash Farmer like Luna, or he plays a hero like PA or Monkey King and just builds a Battle Fury. That's like how I've seen him in every game I've played against him. And he's ranked like 1 or 2 in NA, or in the American regions, so I think it's just like his play style, and it's even if it's not like the perfect game for it, I think in general, if you're a player that has a specific way that you like to play the game, it's kind of like similar to Hero Pool, right? You'd rather play the item build that you know how to play rather than your play like the right item build. But they glimpse the Beastmaster underneath the tower. Nice TP in from KZ, and a little over aggressive on Leposa, but those are the type of kills that I always say, like, yeah, they got a kill, but they're still on their half of the map, and they didn't, like, all they're getting is creeps off of it.
5-man rotation and Dire's farming.
Yeah.
That's not even a win, I think.
But they are up by 1K right now.
Yeah, it's fine for them right now. I still think this game is very. It's going to be very explosive for the Radiant to win it. I think this TA needs to suddenly just take over the game completely, get this BKB and start killing fools, and they will need a Roshan to accomplish this. So this area is going to be the most important for the next 5 minutes, the Roshan area. Get vision out, control the map around that spot. And SG need to be careful not to show too many heroes in the bottom area for that reason, because, oh, hang on, they're actually showing one, and that guy will die if Lee getting jumped here by Vatoloku. 0 spins. Got to up his axe game here by a little bit.
He has to talk to. He has to talk to Capitalists about what to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are smoking right to Roche. I love this play by SG because we talked about how important Roche is, and with the Beastmaster aura as well as Medallion, they can absolutely do this very fast. There's no trap in the pit either, so they won't know about this. And are they going to commit, though? Okay, so I like that they laid the sentry and then saw no trap.
Yeah, they waited for that piece of information to be available. This is the biggest play of the whole game so far. If Radiant doesn't get this Roshan, TA feels very, very bad. It's such an integral part of the hero in mid-game timings that TA gets this Aegis, so you can start hitting towers and winning fights. She's a very special hero in that she wants to commit and play aggressively, but at the same time she's not tanky, so that second life makes a really big difference. And it's just flat out not going to be available. Leposa, or rather Costabile, is going to grab this Aegis on Monkey King. And it cost them nothing. They didn't even lose a tower. Now Radiant are showing up, but they're a bit too late. Golem drop onto the TA. Oh, she's in a lot of trouble. Immediately brought down here by Costabile and Aurora. And they're going to continue on to Benjaz. Nice heal from Adriana onto Stan King as well as an Urn. He will be up to speed in no time. Leposa has to get away from this axe. Will manage to, and they get him with a stomp as well. This should be a secondary kill, no problem. Going the way of F. Lee. So Roche 2 kills and TA died. Very bad news for the Radiant squad in this exchange. That was the... See, this is the thing, right? That the moment that just happened, it feels like Radiant need to wait so long before their next spike.
I mean, the percent chance of them winning, I'd say the game was pretty even, is probably 70, 30, 80, 20 now. I feel like they have a, like that was such an important play that Roche was the most important objective in the entire game right now, and the fact that it went to Dire doesn't even need the Aegis. They know that they scale better, and the tempo setting from TA, as you mentioned, like she wants to go into a fight and at the worst case scenario trade her life for whoever she blows up, and now she doesn't have that luxury, and against a Beastmaster especially, that's super important. And I love that the Beastmaster's going Eon Disc, because we mentioned that they need a hero that just gets gone on in front to enable like the Pugna and Warlock ET combo, and instead, like since we said Monkey King wasn't the best at doing that, he's actually just buying an Eon Disc on the Beastmaster.
Yeah, that's pretty unusual, but it's a really great counter to X. It's one of the best items. I feel like a lot of these big catches, players are starting to catch onto the idea of how good Aeon Disc is as a solution in general to all these sorts of big controls. Like, I feel like it's a big reason why Void has fallen off as a pick, because of how good Disc is. Legion Commander. Axe, it's one of his weaknesses, but he still can compensate for it by just being strong before the discs come out and just be strong in lane. But right now, Dvado Loco's game is going to get a lot harder. He can't really jump the Beastmaster anymore with the disc. There's an Aegis on Monkey King. Pugna has Yules and Dagger, as we talked about. So targets are going to be very, very limited for him. If he jumps this Monkey King while he has Aegis, the teamfight's just lost. I feel like that fight is unwinnable. So got to be really careful, and maybe just flat out wait out the Aegis before you try for your next move. But it feels bad to do that, you know?
We mentioned the Warlock pick in the laning stage, but I think Warlock's also the hardest counter to Axe in terms of the support, like the way team fights play out, because Warlock punishes teams that like overcommit and then like suffer from disengaging through the upheaval. And Axe is the like archetype example of that, right? He just blinks in, calls, and then can't do anything. He gets the dust, but the Yule's just a disengage. They have the trap, though, that gives vision for the glimpse, and that is a glimpse into call. Skywrath Mage ulti onto the Beastmaster, and he gets bursted, and Monkey King isn't even hinting at showing up to this fight. He's just pushing bottom. And even though they lose the Beastmaster again, they're the ones getting objectives.
Oh, KZ found him.
Wow. Can he see him up there? Okay, I guess he can because of the Bloodseeker.
He is still fine for now. They cut the wrong tree. Are you kidding me? Oh, they got him. Okay. They saw him the whole time and cut the wrong tree. Come on, guys. If they get him twice here, this is super big. So we said they can't call Monkey King, but well, if he's alone on his own, easy pickings there. 2 kills on him. And that
was a really well played by the Disruptor. I think definitely on Costabile for letting that happen, but at the same time, like, he did have to make the correct play. Like, they had the TP and the Disruptor first to make that happen.
You were talking about Warlock as a great team fighter and team fight punish, which is absolutely the case. I'm very happy to see syndereN go for the exact build he is. I feel like a lot of Warlocks are just autopiloting, maxing Shadow Word. We've seen it across regions, especially in CIS. I've had Warlocks go 2-4-0 build, and I'm just like, what's the point? Like, you're a super dominant team fighter. You get the 2 Shadow Word for laning, and then you grab your team fight spells. I love 2-2-4. I love 4-2-2. And in this case, he went 4-2-2 and then started getting upheaval. Even 3-2-3 can be great, too.
I like 3-2-2 for sure.
Just, yeah, you love 3-2-2. I mean, just, you know, get your team fight up and running. Like, this Shadow Word just falls off as a spell really quickly later on into the game, and your other spells keep
Upheaval's insane, too.
Yeah, it's really
They see Leposa with this TA trap, and they're going to burst him because of the vision, but
he was 200 gold off. He didn't get his disc. Adriano's disc is popped as well. This is pretty bad news for the Dire so far, but...
Both supports on the Radiant have already gone down, and the BKB from TA's force. He's under tower, though, taking damage from the Golem as well as the Blood Right to defend him, though. Willie gets the blink out. Wow.
Yep. Aw, Costabile's on the hunt. They need a bit more damage.
Can they finish him off? Uses the Melt Strike. He actually reduces all the armor of Monkey, who dies anyways when the Jingu procs, and Bloodseeker's going to clean up here. At least he should. Really low on the Pugna as well as the ET. Yules him up just to disengage, and that Blink Dagger Yules build coming into play. And that looked worst case scenario for Dire, and they won 3 for 2.
Yeah, they got a good combo off from syndereN with the Golem and a couple bonds, so good counter engage from him.
And Beastmaster has to be more careful. He's sitting on top of traps. Like,
yeah.
He just keeps getting found.
You got to imagine that fight playing out completely differently if you had the Aeon Disc, and he was 200 gold short when the fight began, so they're going to be like, okay, we're actually only losing to TA traps, let's buy a gem and then get Beastmaster up to his disc, and that's exactly happening right now.
I like that play, yeah.
And then group up, I think. Wait for Warlock Golem and look for some team fights as the Dire. You have to feel favored in these fights if your spells are available. There's just so much stuff. Like, you have a very single target oriented TA and Bloodseeker on the Radiant side, and kind of their supports need to do the team fight work. But they're fighting into multiple discs, and what I imagine will be a BKB coming up from Monkey King soon. Yeah, he's got it queued up, so 2,500 to go on that one. Would you say it's fair to say that this Radiant timing is falling off? Like, you look at their heroes, I think TA is not that strong of a late gamer a lot of the time. Bloodseeker, similar. Like, would you say, like, past this time, this is like really low chance of winning. Like, we're going to have to wait on that. There's jump on syndereN.
Yep,
Easy
immediately
pick.
guys glimpse on him. He has the on disc, but will it be enough to save him? He has the Pugna Sucky keeping him alive, but he's just going to go down most likely to the TA BKB. But if he already used Roar, actually, so he's going to Shadow Blade to get away. And like
a nice jump from Leo style. That's the gem. Wait, he gave it. Wait, where is it?
Did he hand it off?
Where's the gem?
He handed it to the ET.
Oh, nice play. I didn't even see that in the middle of that fight. Axe coming in. Good stomp, though. It's a bit too late. Adriano's down.
And we're feeling the Monkey King battle fury right now.
Yeah, it's really high impact in these fights. Like,
yeah, I mean, his ability to jump from tree to tree the exact same way he would normally is insane.
Yeah, he needs a BKB.
Yeah, he does. All jokes aside, like it does feel like they're fighting 4v5. He's basically a stun at this point.
Yep.
And you're noticing it. They're just running them over. And at this point in the game, you're saying like their timing's falling off. They still have this timing because they have the Bloodseeker plus Axe. Their BKBs are coming out. But once these BKBs start wearing down and the Monkey King gets a BKB, this game will change drastically. So they have to get a lot done in the next like 5 to 10 minutes, like you said, because they are on a timer.
The thing I like about this play from Radiant is that they took advantage of the cooldown on Golem. Like, they know SG's teamfight is superior, so you've got to play the timing windows you're given. And kind of a mistake from SG to get caught out like this. You can maybe sacrifice one hero for a team move like that, but losing multiple that way, trying to help each other.
On the Skywrath Mage should be quick and easy.
Nice monkey join. Woo! Oh, there's a Golem drop. He's got lots of refractions running though. Leo Style's fine for now.
TI8 is just separating the team into two pieces where they can't help Leposa, but he's going to go down in pittance for the fact that he kept the rest of the team away from the Beastmaster, and I don't think that's a trade that you're happy with.
Absolutely not. He used his BKB again. It's now down to 7. Basically killed himself to get a Warlock. That is an awful trade. The Warlock even got his spells off, so not too happy with that one. And like you said, it's just like it's a disconnected fight, right? There's two fights going on at the same time. TA gets completely isolated. Biggest problem from there, it seemed like he ran out of mana, actually. Had very limited options toward the end of that fight. I wonder how that even happened. There's no mana drain in this game. He must have gone into the fight low on mana from farming.
I don't think they were expecting to take that fight. I think because they got the fight started with Skywrath Mage getting initiated onto, right? So that's probably like a reactionary call from the entire team. So maybe he just was about to shrine or something, and then the fight happened.
That sounds likely.
That's something where you got to be careful of taking fights that your team is not prepared for. Just because even some small reason like that, where one of your cores doesn't have enough mana, or even like 2/3 health, can make a lot of the difference.
Here comes trouble. BKB on X. Big item this game.
Smoking up. Ready to make something happen.
This is his counter to Yule's. Now he can jump anyone he wants.
They still have Decrypt, though.
And call. Yes, they still do that, but at least it's going to... Yeah, actually, you're right. If they Decrepify... There's still the magic damage coming out, though, from all the Radiant sides. So if you probably want to Decrepify Axe and not the guy who's called, else just going to get blown up by Skywrath. Since the BKBs are still not available for the Dire, a defensive Decrepify is very dangerous to use against these heroes.
So they're going to wrap on Benjaz most likely. Yeah, both teams smoked in the enemy jungle, and very well might just turn into nothing. But both teams obviously concerned about the Roche Pit, as you can see, and are trying to establish ward vision around it. It's going to be spawning in 35 seconds.
Yep.
So a lot of tension going to be on in this area, especially when you have heroes like, even the Bloodseeker vision's nice, and same with the TA traps, but then you have the ET on the Dire side and the Hawk. A lot of vision and ability to fight around the Roche Pit. They have the Sentry, so Leposa wisely opts out of walking up that high ground.
So what do you do here? You used to smoke as Dire to get into this position, and now you're just like awkwardly posted here. You get impatient. Monkey King is going to start pushing bottom.
You need to farm this BKB because he's still... He now has it, but like they cannot take this fight if he doesn't have it. And they just need to avoid death before that happens, but syndereN might get caught. Oh, nope, the Glimmer Cape is going to save him this time.
Leposa going in. Axis Roar onto the Skywrath Mage.
No
Not really
King
killing
here,
anybody right now, actually. He could be in trouble. The counterplay could be coming in. Leo Style is on the side. He has a freshly picked up Nullifier ready to go. They do get the kill on Disruptor, but Axe Call will bring down Leposa for sure. Golem counterplay. Monkey King has joined the game, but he doesn't have BKB. Gets his ulti off. Can't really go anywhere, though. And Radiant are just going to disengage out of this ring and say thank you very much for using all of your teamfight ultis before Roach.
And did TA BKB there? Yes, she did. But she still does have the Nullifier, like you said, so that coming out like at the same time as that Monkey King BKB, they can definitely afford to focus him in fights with the Axe plus the TA.
He has a counter to Decrepify now as well for himself. He's going to go on the Warlock. Oh, he used it too early. He nullified before the Decrep, and actually Warlock's buying a lot of time here. syndereN with the moves, but now we're going to disconnect everybody.
God. Wait,
except,
no, what?
Except the
Monkey King
Custom is like, let's go, baby.
He's like, but I've got my passive.
I'll micro everything.
I've got Jingu, guys. I've got Jingu. And then nobody's in TeamSpeak.
Go. Don't pause mid-fight. Well, they're reconnecting in. This looks like... So, obviously, I'm not a big fan of pauses like this, but they're kind of a necessity here.
Yeah, no,
it gives both teams a chance to analyze the situation and go for their play. Leo Style's out of mana, doesn't have dagger, he's useless, so probably this is going to be a dead Axe, and that's the end of it.
These kind of pauses make me realize like how easy Dota would be if it's like a turn-based game.
Yeah.
Because now you get to sit here like freeze, like what's happening? Our Pugna's silence is going to be off cooldown. Blink dagger in 8. You can look at all these little things, and that's just stuff you would never be able to process in live time. They still have the BKB on the Monkey King, Axe no BKB, TA no BKB. Bloodseeker, no BKB. So this is definitely something where the Radiant has to be careful, I believe, because even though they have the Disruptor respawning, they are out of BKBs against
They
the
are 100% just getting out of here and cutting their losses. They will probably kill this Warlock, and then Axe will die, and maybe Skywrath will
I think you may be surprised how this plays out here.
Not surprised so far. Still not surprised. And Axe is dead. Oh, there's Fatal Bonds. So they both die. Yeah. That's the... Was that surprising?
I mean,
what did you think was going to happen?
I'm saying like we both think they're going to get out, but you never know. Maybe they just say we're going in with the TA Bloodseeker.
Like,
I never know what to expect.
I got blade mail, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm ready. But I just wanted to say I've seen things in SA that I would never expected to see. So
okay.
That's that was what I was hoping for some excitement there.
You definitely know these players in that region a lot better than I do.
Oh, we were talking about
this. But even
this.
for crazy plays, that to me was like just flat out insane to even try to go for anything.
Yes.
So.
Some of these teammates, if I had to go purely on the players of the game for who's going to win this game, I have only one player muted on the Dire, and I have 3 players muted on the Radiant.
All right.
So I have to assume that the Dire are just more well-rounded gentlemen for winning this game. You know what I mean?
What do you have muted on the Radiant? The top 3 of them?
The top 3. I have Leo Styles, Sladen, and Devato Loco.
Okay.
Sladen's one of those players that, like, when he's trying, he's like a really good pub teammate, but when he, like, there's just certain games where he just gets super tilted and just gives up and starts jungling on supports. And those are the type of times where I'm just like, I can't handle this guy. And I just gotta get him out. But the fight around Roche is still persisting. Both teams obviously care very much about this objective. And the cheese is gonna be, I don't know, the cheese is a little bit less important in this game than most, like with like a DP in the lineup or a DK. But nonetheless, that Aegis against this Axe or Beastmaster is very important.
Yep. You play a decent amount of Monkey King. It's not your favorite, but you played it a lot, I think. What do you think about the level 20 talents? I think most of the time people will go for the Primal Spring damage. This case, Costabile going for the Boundless Strike. What do you think about that?
I feel like, personally, the Primal Spring damage is better if you're going to take the cast range, and I feel like a lot of players, like I think Thompson's the most notable one, goes for, like, that plays Monkey King all the time in pubs. He takes all the Tree Dance talents because the Primal Spring damage, that makes you one-shot creep waves, like later on in the game, and even the Mega Creeps will die.
Do you think it makes a difference for his choice that he has a Battle Fury? Like, then you don't need the Primal Spring damage because you can, like, two hit the wave after Primal Spring anyway?
That's definitely a factor. It's like a weird thing to just consider, but Monkey King, what I've realized is usually as the game goes on, you can't even afford to show yourself in creep waves for longer than like that split second that you jump down from a tree because you're just so vulnerable. And you usually want to be playing alone. Usually you may have like a kill hero around you like they did with the Beastmaster there. But for the most part, as you see early on and as the game goes on, if there's somebody split pushing in a Monkey King lineup, it's usually him playing alone. So that's why I usually lean towards the Primal Spring, but then the Boundless Crit is just way better in fights, obviously, because your Primal Spring you never like fully channel. But they are smoked up. Scan, they know somebody's on the Ancients. They know Benjaz.
Benjaz. This is a big start to the fight. There's no way in hell he lives through this, is there? Or maybe not. They're buying time. BKB goes off. Blade Mail. Golem drop. He is actually going to get away from this.
syndereN analysis, folks.
That was play-by-play. You don't even know the roles.
Fair enough. Then they just choose to disengage. They're happy to get out.
Oh, that's great for the region.
Yeah, that's insanely good. They only used one BKB, and all of the ultimates used from the Dire side. So do you think they're going to try to force Roche off this with the cooldowns of Dire?
I would like to see it. if they realize all the spells were used. I'm not sure they kept track of everything there, but that was Roar, Golem, and Monkey Ult. BKB is still available on
Even
Monkey.
Earth Splitter there too.
Oh, they split her too. Wow, they used everything to not kill a guy. That's...
Gotta make it happen
That
now.
ain't good. Yeah, let's go. I like this from Radiant. I think they have to do something like this anyway.
They don't have Static Storm, but aside from that, they have everything.
Elder Titan, gonna be annoying. Buying some time here. Got a concussive shot flying out, Link away from Pugna. They're in a pretty good position here with the Dire on this high ground. They will be able to attack soon. They just want to try to buy time for the next Roar. It's coming off cooldown in 3 seconds. Slayden is totally out of position here, actually, but Beastmaster is going to go for the Axe, roars him up. They're going to use this time to take a free kill on the Skywrath Mage. Axe is flying out, preventing the dagger from being used from Dvato Loco, and he will now disengage. And successful defense for the Dire. This
Why
should
is
be
Skywrath
enough.
Mage in front?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He is really out of position here, just pushing this wave.
I feel like he should never be in front of his cores.
No.
On Skywrath Mage.
The play that can exist where you go like this with the support is if you're baiting the enemy team to go on you while your team is taking Roche. Like, you use it as a distraction, but there was nothing being distracted for. They weren't trying to Roche, and there's a Hawk on top of it. So Dire know everything that's going on here, and that's a very
you say,
easy
like,
play
take
to
my
make.
body while the rest of my team's taking an objective, but I don't think, obviously, that, like you said, that applies here. That was just a little bit of a misstep, a little bit of over... Like, he's just anxious, I think, in these type of situations, very high tension, but, I mean, now they're going to have all their ultimates except for Golem back up. It's going to be up in 50 seconds, and once those are up, they're 100% not taking Roche. And they're just applying the split push bottom. That's generally how Dire has to approach Roche, is you want to somehow force somebody from Radiant to eventually respond to bottom, but you have this TA hero that just lays traps in the lane and can kill a creep wave per trap, so...
Yep.
They will not be doing that. So a fight still looking to go onto the ET, gets the initiation. He's going to die almost immediately. Has buyback, which he uses immediately. BKB on the TA, who gets roared up during it. He's in trouble. Has the Monkey King ult, but he's also silenced and nullified right now. And doesn't matter because the TA's BKB had already ran out.
Because reason.
Yeah, I was like, I guess he just dies.
Oh!
Uses a creep, you know, misclick. It's fine. Nobody saw it. And Costa Bile still has BKB, has the Jingu up for another 15 seconds or so. Do you just walk into the Roche pit? I think you do.
You should. I think they take Roche. They don't know if TA has buyback, which we know she doesn't, but they should just try to force the issue, buy some information at the very least here.
They still have Golem, and the Scotty is complete on
They
the
could
Monkey
go
King
mid as well. If they fancy that. They can go for Rax. That's good too. Either play is fine. Just make an aggressive move. Use this power play. The Radiant lineup doesn't stand a chance in a fight right now. Monkey King can actually go really aggressive here. He will. Gets the Boundless off. 2-man Primal Spring and combo with Pugna. Easy picks. Gem on the ground. BKB was used by Costa Bill. Don't think he needed that, but whatever. It's 5-on-3. They're going to go high ground. It's 5-on-3 after a buyback. Even Axe has a lot of work to do. Are they actually going to respect them here? I don't think so. I think you just keep going.
At least use Pugna Blast continuously.
Yeah.
And Monkey King
Monkey
ult to zone. I like that play. Force out the forward, but the Monkey King ult lasts for 13 seconds, so that still gives you about 6 seconds to hit the tower.
Bit of a blood right. They're going to heal him up, probably.
Axe was trying to blink in, but he got canceled by the Monkey King ult, and that Blade Mail doesn't reflect that damage, and that's a dieback.
Yeah, that ain't good. That's 2 lanes, probably. Now they know there's no Axe. Very, very easy for them to keep this push going. They can
there's no thread.
Choose between bottom lane or going to Roche. I think both plays are fine. Gets a good stun off on KZ, and the Axis follow-up. They actually almost just sniped him from long range. That was some long-range artillery going on, but missing that little extra bit of for that
I like
kill.
the Roche play here. It's not necessarily that it's better for them overall, but the swing between them getting Roche to the Radiant side. Like, Radiant's way back into this game as Roche, so...
Yeah, it's a risk-reward thing, right? You can go for the bottom racks. If the fight somehow goes wrong, not only do you die, but you lose Roche or have to commit buybacks. This way, way safer. You give Axe another life, but you give your team an Aegis and a cheese, so...
And they're almost level 25 on Monkey King, and they'll get it off of this Roche, which the Wukong's command, I believe he'll take the extra ring. Just increasing the AoE in the fight, like that just makes these heroes like Bloodseeker, like all 3 cores from Radiant that rely on like walking around in fights. It's just going to be that much harder with that AoE, like the Scotty slow. And that is level 25, does take the ring.
I don't remember the last time I saw someone take 100 armor. I remember when the talents came out, people were like, there were 2 questions. One was, or 2 reactions. One was, holy 100 armor? That's insane. And the other one was, what is +1 ring? That could be like literally anything. Does he make 2 rings after each other? Does he like spawn 2 in front of him that are
Yeah,
like,
like
next
it's
to
a
each
Venn
other.
diagram.
And then, nope, it's just a bigger one, I guess.
Yeah, and like, you know, with circles, quick maths, you know, geometry, that extra ring, you know, since it's a radius, that is a very, like, increases the area of effect by, like, double.
But it was just a bait, so it's just one bigger ring.
Yeah.
+1 ring. It's like the most misleading talent
Yeah, I
text
mean,
ever.
it's
completely
a
random.
free game, still in beta. But the Disruptor tried to get, he just ultied bottom for creeps. Interesting. Weird play because they have TA traps to cut that wave bottom.
Uh-oh, Axe. No, this is not the hero you want to get caught again. He's going to die here. Might even pop his BKB. I don't think he's getting out of this one, though. They might try to pursue it. Actually, they're buying the time, but he's still out of the fight. Can't reconnect. Leostar comes in, though. Counterplays there. Okay, never mind. But nice Golem setup. Onto 4. Gets the Fatal Bonds out as well, and Leostyle has to get the hell out of here. So does the rest of his team. They get the TPs out, and I thought this was looking good for Dire, but the rest of their follow-up on the Roar just not in position.
You didn't see what happened, did you? What happened was the Monkey King stunned and then jumped on a tree as the axes flew through, and he stunned himself for 4 seconds.
Oh, he got stunned by Beastmaster?
Yeah, he
I was like, how is this not a good jump? Like, how do they not just kill him there?
Yeah, he immediately jumped onto the tree and got stunned by his teammate.
The classic anti-synergy. I feel like this happens every game. There's a Monkey King and Beastmaster. It happens like once.
Any hero that can destroy trees on the Monkey King's team. I remember it was one of the major tournaments that a team lost a game because the Monkey King jumped up and the Bat Rider blinked in at the same time, and the Monkey King just got stunned for 4 seconds. Like late game, like 6-slotted Monkey King and just died instantly because he had 4-second stun. It's definitely something you have to take into consideration. Really hard to think about in these fights. So Arcane Rune.
And classic rune, it's the temptation, man. It's the greed trap.
It just looks so pretty.
It's like, oh, I'm a Scarif mage. I love lower cooldowns. Oh, there's other heroes in the game. Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's the classic. Like, ooh, piece of candy, and then just suddenly there's a Monkey King hitting you. And that's an Arcane Rune Monkey King, so they can just walk down. I expect them to get to bottom lane by the time that's still going, and they should just push R with Monkey King, I believe, on the racks.
Yeah, sounds like a good play. Glimpse away, stopping the Elder Titan pursuit. Does he have a stomp? This is going to connect, I think, but nobody's really in range. Monkey King, maybe.
Yep, bound the strike.
Nice one.
And he's dead.
Good play. Wow.
I knew what you were trying to say.
Good play from Francis. That was a bit of a tongue twister for me somehow.
And
getting that stomp
push
off
R with the push it with the Arcane Rune. Nice. The value. 60-second cooldown on that Monkey King ult down.
And the Elder Titan Spirit's going to keep scouting here the Astral. If you get this one onto exactly this guy, keep the Astral Spirit on the axe. Just cancel his dagger all the time, be annoying. If you see an opportunity to stomp, you do it. But here's the blink call onto the Monkey King. He gets his procs off, though. Good damage. He has Aegis, however, so 1 death. In the meantime, Leostyle attacking the backlines. They've decided that's the better target for them than playing together with their Monkey King. They went for him. Didn't really work out, but they forced him out of the fight, and as a result, now Costabile can go to work. He gets a lot of damage out on Benjes. Nobody dying just yet. Adriana with the big heals. Glyph currently, or actually backdoor protection available, so nothing really happening to the barracks as F. Lee will die to Dvato Loco after taking down Benjes, and a bit of a crazy fight. Still not over, though. They bring back Costabile. Nobody can hit him, though. Like, what's the purpose of this glimpse? You're killing your own team. You brought back the Monkey King into the easiest fight of his life. He's going to keep going here. Monkey King ulti available in 5 seconds only. There will be a new Wukong's command, and he has +1 ring. So you got to be careful of that +1 ring. It's going to come out right now. That's a really big Monkey ult. Zoning them off. No BKBs available for Radiant, and this will be barracks claimed. No real counterplay available here, I'm afraid. Skyreth doing what he can, but yeah. That's the problem with the Aegis right there. You got to go on the Monkey King, but can you kill him twice? The answer is negative.
And the way he built, he's just so tanky with the Scotty BKB Basher.
Yep.
And like, even though he had no BKB, after the Aegis was worn off, they have all this counter initiation that we talked about, all this crowd control, and then the Pugna is just giving him life in the back, and it's like, if you commit on this Monkey King, you're all 5 going to die for it.
And that fight was even without Golem. They actually didn't have it. Stanking never even got to use Chaotic Offering, so they're going to have that in the next coming fight if they want to fight again soon. They have multiple options. They can play slow and wait for Roche. Okay, that's got to suck for Adriano. He got his Aeon Disc popped by a TA trap. That's pretty annoying, I guess, but they'll have it again in 90. Illusion Rune top, obviously we've reached the stage of the game where there's 2 runes, so the team with map control massively favored. They're going to have more rune options.
Bounty Rune's coming out, though.
Yep. There's going to be 2 per. Looks like Dvato Loco takes 1.
Get it, Stan King. Nice.
Yep.
And he's got that 60 XP talent on the Warlock, so he's climbing his way up there, already level 23, and if he can get that level 25 even, like, that's just insane.
You know, I have this. I feel like Warlock
Top
is.
lane?
Oh, yeah, actually, they will be getting this pick off. Easy kill onto F. Lee, so somebody else is going to
Flea does this at least twice a game.
Yeah.
From what I've seen him on every hero, he does it twice a game. He did it bottom once, and he did it top here. He doesn't have to show his real hero. He can just put his spirit on the creep wave and stomp it. And it's obviously not going to get him all the CS, but it is going to effectively push the wave. But they're looking. They're going to find the Disruptor. Oh, nope. They roar up onto the Bloodseeker. Follow up with the Boundless Strike, the Golem to boot. And it looks like Axe is blinked in with the Crimson Guard.
Oh, nice damage on the Posa, though.
He just dies, and this is a 2-for-0 in favor of Torus because the ET died before the fight even started. And Axe, no BKB though, and the Pugna Ward actually just kills the Disruptor. And so it turns out to be a 2-for-2. And I don't think that, I mean, an even trade is, even though they're up by 14K, so theoretically an even trade should net, like, the Torus an advantage. I don't think that...
Insignificant.
Yeah, it's just not, doesn't matter.
Really insignificant.
They need much more than that to come back in this game.
I think realistically you don't get a really good fight for the Radiant unless Leo Style is a part of a big move. Like they can't win the fights enough without the TA blowing someone to pieces early on, and it didn't happen in that fight. So what I was going to talk about is Warlock. I feel like this hero's level 20 talent is super good, but it's just awkward, right? You need to choose, okay, what's my play? Do I want to cast all my spells and go and die? Or is Upheaval better? I think in some games it's a legitimate strategy on Warlock to buy a Blink Dagger. Like you cast Golem, you cast Bonds, and you blink on top of the enemy team, and you just stand in the middle of them and Upheaval. And then they have to go on you and stop you, and if you die, it's
interesting.
Because if you get a good Fatal Bonds off, like what's your impact in the fight beyond Golem and Fatal Bonds unless Upheaval is great? Like you're actually just a backliner doing nothing. You can get a second Bonds off, perhaps. It's unlikely. 18-second cooldown late game. Fights don't really last that long. So maybe you just, you know, jump in and die and get that extra Golem off. That's a really high impact play. So, I don't know. It's just a weird thing, right? You have this talent that really benefits a hero that's in the middle of the fight, but your hero is not in the middle of the fight. You're a backliner, usually. In comparison, Undying gets another Tombstone. That makes so much more sense because he will cast his spells, run into the middle of the fight with Flesh Golem, and try to die. But for Warlock, he's
like the squishy backline support.
It's a little less obvious how you're going to use this talent, right?
I like the Blink Dagger idea, though. It's like a Blink Black Hole, but it's when you die, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
And that you're at least forcing some sort of response if you blink into the enemy team, right? You're standing there, you're casting Upheaval or whatever. I mean, if you've used Upheaval before you blink in, maybe they're just like, nope, just ignore the Warlock, kill everybody else, don't touch him. Don't touch him, he's a ticking bomb. I don't know.
Kamikaze style. But... yeah, no, it's the one thing I want to comment in this game though is that this ET is basically like a third right-clicking or a second right-clicking core because he has the Beastmaster aura, he has that 70 attack speed talent at level 20, the Astral Spirit hero attack, and now he just has a BKB, and then obviously anyone he's standing next to has no base armor or base magic resist, so he's basically a hard-hitting core at this point in the game. In team fights, he should get at least like 100, 200 damage from his Astral Spirit, and we've seen it with, I think Yapster is the most notable when he goes this BKB build of just chunking people in fights.
The most iconic one for me is actually DJ. I think he does it even more.
Okay, I've only seen it on Yapster.
Both of those players, that is the way to play tight late game. BKB. Oh, wait a second, we're going to have a jump on the Posa.
Purges the Eon Disc.
Yep.
But he has no BKB.
Nullified himself, though. Oh, Leo Style will get a refraction. No, he won't. And this Axe call, he's doing so much damage on Axe, but he will fall as well. The counterplay with both Nullifiers coming into effect here. Monkey King can't pursue. He is ruptured, so Banjets will be getting out there with his 200 million, 800 move speed.
800 move speed. But he gets Yules. Is he just going to die? Oh, he misses the combo.
Oh, no. That would have actually been a kill.
It would have been.
For Adriano, but still, they got 2 kills. Both of them have to buy back.
Looking for the glimpse on the 40R. They get him. Static Storm used the Eon Disc procced. He's just going to TP. No Blink Dagger. Oh, okay. He was scared of the Blink Dagger X, but he didn't actually have it. He might have gotten out with that TP.
Wait, did he? What just happened? How did he not get knocked out of his Yules by that Nullifier?
Didn't he?
I think he didn't.
I did not see it. Maybe the Nullifier like landed, then he Yules?
No, I thought he was Yules in the Nullifier. I don't know.
It's a weird interaction. I know it pulls you down, but
yeah, I don't know. I
with the projectile speed, I don't know how it works now.
Anyway, didn't matter. He died anyway, so. Well, it's a bit of a consolation prize for the Radiant, but that's still a really, really bad fight for them. They lose Aegis, or sorry, they lose the Axe and the TA, plus their buybacks. and all they got for it was one little Pugna, and there's no objective to take, no Roshan yet. It's spawning in 20. There's actually a minor timing window here if they fancy it. If the Dire aren't careful and don't pay attention, it could fall really quickly. Oh, well, that's a good start to make sure you even out the numbers. Easy pick for Liposa onto KZE. Use the Roar. Maybe that's enough for the Radiant to not even try to go Roche.
Big cojones on the supports this game.
They
on average.
are
like both teams. Yeah.
Into death.
They are face checking a lot of things, and it is resulting into them just getting roared or dying. And that's a Beastmaster called. Eon Disc procs, but the Nullifier's here. Gets the Nullifier onto TA because of the Lotus Orb.
That's what happened in the
I think
previous
that is
fight
what
too.
happened. Yeah, I was
like,
say.
who has the Nulli? But no, it's just a Neon Disc twice now, reflecting that.
Yeah, that Lotus Orb coming into play not only in that case, but also every time Monkey King gets gone on, you can just Lotus Orb him. Lotus Orb, Solar Crest, you have the Vlads, this Monkey King extra. Without his ult on, has like 40 armor, and then he's Lotus Orbed with 3,200 health.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of health to chew through.
Do you think at this point for Monkey King you just buy a Linken's? Because he's getting ruptured every fight, and it's pretty annoying. Like, he could sell his Echo Saber, get a Linken's. The Saber is nice and all, but at this point it's more about mobility. Like,
I would probably prefer a Refresher Orb.
Okay.
So, like, I just feel like the
so
double
you truly
BKB
have
double
+1 ring.
Yes, yes. And I just feel like if you get ruptured, you just let the rupture run out, and if you have like a second ulti, you just go back in. And I feel like the way they're going to eventually win is just by ulting on top of Roche or ulting on top of the tier 3. I don't think they're actually going to have to chase Torus eventually.
Okay.
But he's got a lot of gold. He's probably just saving for buyback
He can definitely just play as a siege tank and just control the area. Oh, he's going to jump on the tree. Yeah, he got out of that one. Oh, they caught the Warlock. This is some good damage, but stanking is fine with the Glimmer Cape. That's the Skywrath ulti used.
Runes are out. Invis run on the ET.
Oh, that is not good. He golemed the ground. It will start chasing X, but...
Message sent. Yule's up. Has BKB, though.
It's fine. For now, good damage from Costa.
Scotty slow.
Well, he's starting to take some serious damage on Monkey King, but he does get the ulti off, so now he has 45 armor. Still, Leostyle able to chop through him together with Vato Loco. There is a buyback for the Monkey King, not used just yet. Might have to use it if the Radiant team keep chasing them down. Skywrath basically killing himself on the Nether Ward. There is another golem because Warlock died.
Yeah.
How convenient. He actually ends up stunning the TA, forcing her out of the fight. Skywrath, no buyback, has died. Pugna in trouble, but self-decrep into TP out. Will get out. Benjus does not have a nullifier.
No BKB on the Bloodseeker.
TA just seems so needed in every play. TA has to do the work. It's TA and Axe all day as this Bloodseeker's gone for utility build with the Aghanim Scepter.
And the Rupture damage talent. He's pretty much 2 Ruptures in this game.
You're really missing a way for Bloodseeker to lock onto a target and kill it, like a nullifier for himself so he can kill the Pugna, or an Abyssal, something like that. It's just Benjaz's Bloodseeker in this game is pretty underwhelming. Like, he just doesn't seem like he can do enough in the fights.
I feel like his job is to push R on somebody and say, "Get that guy, TA."
Yeah.
Get him. He's standing there.
That doesn't feel very good minute 55 though.
As a one position hero, that is not exactly what you're looking for.
Roche is low. This is a big moment though. If Stanking and or Costabil die here, this could get really interesting. Neither of them with buybacks, but it is a 5-on-4 fight. Axe is starting to move in, but he's being spotted by the creep wave now, the Astral Spirit. Gonna zone them off, but they're actually not killing Roshan right now. Everybody's just waiting, like, why don't you guys go first? Very nice gentleman's agreement here. Let's just not kill Roche. Well, there we go.
And
Somebody's
that's
gonna break the truce.
eventually the crowd control area of effect. Monkey King ult just to say, get off me, you can't blink in because of the extra ring. And now he just has a refresher shard, so he doesn't need that orb.
Yep, and cheese as well. So who do you put the cheese on? Probably the Pugna, I would imagine.
I think you just keep it on the Monkey King.
He keeps all 3?
Yeah, I think you come back to life. Like, you BKB ult the first life, and if they manage to somehow kill you, you refresh your shard first, and then BKB ult again, and then put the cheese in your inventory. But never mind, they gave it to the Pugna.
I think that's a bit too much to have on one guy. Like, you have 2 lives with 2 BKBs and 2 Monkey King ults. If you need a cheese on top of that, you messed up. Like, that...
I always prefer to give myself as much leniency as possible.
I understand. You play NA pubs. You can't trust anyone here. It's kind of a wasteland. But
I mean, so does Costa-Bile. You know, he plays these NA pubs. he knows.
He's got some pretty good teammates in this game. I think he got lucky with the MMR algorithm.
Yeah,
you want to give
sure.
Adriano a cheese. Because the thing is, like, let's say they go on the Monkey King and they try to kill him twice. It just seems so impossible that they're not even going to try. They're going to go for the back line and try to kill the other heroes. So protect them as well.
I feel like Pugna's either like full to 0 or death.
Like, who has the refresh? Oh, they gave the refresher to Warlock. So
okay,
it's going to be.
And he has Ags now.
Yeah.
Magic immune golems, and he has the Ags.
Good amount of golems.
That is a lot of golems. And they're all magic immune with 3,000 health
this game
and
is
like 75 health regen.
I don't even know how they kill the golems. That's actually a problem. When there's 5 golems there, you kind of need to be able to kill them. The TI8 cleave is not really a reliable source unless they line up perfectly. Like you send down this army of golems marching in a straight line. Not going to happen. So.
And if you manage to somehow kill the Warlock first, you're just going to get golemed anyway.
5 golems.
Yeah.
Use ulti, refresh, use ulti, run in and die.
Yeah.
And use
need
fatal.
that blink dagger.
Double
Farm
fatal
it up.
bonds. Don't underestimate the double fatal bonds as well.
It stacks, right?
It does, fully. That spell is so strong. So I think right now you just tickle this tower. There's another blast. That's the end of this tier 3. And
that
now
Aether Lens.
Costabil can start running in and pop his ulti and BKB if he wants to, or they can just keep doing this. This Nether Blast is dealing a lot of damage with the 25 talent, you gotta say. Plus 200 damage on that one. That's 5 blasts to take a range Rax. Almost 4. If he had a little more int, he would do it with 4.
Just a little bit smarter.
Yep, just that tiny bit more. 10 int would have actually taken the Rax in 4, I think. But, you know, yo, Radiant.
I think 1 int would have taken that Rax. It's at 11 health.
Oh, there we go. He has the disc plus cheese. Not getting it off just yet. Well, will be able to Lotus Orb.
Yule Scepter.
Oh, he still died, but this follow-up from Warlock. He's going to drop 2 golems. Where are the next 2? Hello, Stanking, where are you at? Okay, well, he dropped everything, I think. He didn't have mana, or... Wait, what happened? How many golems are here?
Did he use like Refresher Orb before the...
I think he Refresher Orb before using the first golems.
Nobody saw it.
He got so excited.
Yeah, he
and
was
it really
so
didn't matter.
Yep. He saw the cute girl and he just, you know, pushed it too early, you know?
Yep, that's what you do.
Yeah, so basically, you know, I think we both kind of predicted how this game would play out, right?
Yeah.
And it was
longer than I thought, though.
Yeah, no, I think that honestly, is a few slip-ups from SG, like Monkey King dying with Aegis twice, bottom, and overall, like I think Torus played the way they had to play, like with their lineup. They focused, like they prioritized the TA and said, like, you know, carry us with these, like with your 6 slots. But the problem is you're against this Warlock, you're against this Beastmaster. There's just a hero like TA can't solo carry you through this game. And the Bloodseeker, as we mentioned in the draft, he got pressured in lane, and then he's just a Bloodseeker. And if he's not snowballing, he doesn't like flash farm or anything like that.
He ended up doing second least damage in his team, only above Disruptor, and he did less damage than anyone on Dire.
Yeah.
In a 60-minute game as your safe lane carry, that's just... It's not good enough. That means either the pick is wrong, your laning is wrong, or you itemized incorrectly.
I think it was the Disruptor pick.
I don't like the Ags. I think it's useless, this game, personally. I don't think it makes any sense to go for 2
I just don't know what else he goes. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you. But, like, what else does he do other than Rupture this game?
He could get a Nullifier and actually just run it
that could be true.
And kill him. Because what's happening is Templar jumps on one guy and tries to focus that guy down, and that's just the guy you got to protect in this game. If TA doesn't kill, nobody kills.
Yeah.
And if Bloodseeker is a threat as well, and they have these 2 discs that they get really early, you're just like, TA jump one guy, Bloodseeker run another guy, and now suddenly for the Dire, you got to choose who you protect. Like, you can't cover the whole thing, but they just counterplayed them so well. Every time there was a Nullifier, the immediate Lotus Orb came out from the Beastmaster. They purged it off. They used Yules and Pugna. Even though he dies that last fight, he buys, I don't know, 10 seconds for the Warlock to cast its ulti, which he still only got 1 off somehow. You know, it's rough, man. I don't think the Radiant looked too bad in this game relative to SG. I'm a bit let down by SG. I thought they were going to do better in this game.
I thought they played cleaner than what they did for sure. They like the couple random deaths on Leposa too around the map. Like even though the deaths didn't end up leading to objectives for Torus Gaming, it was like the map control for SG, so it kind of just slowed down the progress of everything they were trying to accomplish in the game. But I do like the way they built, though, because if you just look at the Radiant lineup, you say, if we don't die in like the first 5 seconds, their ability to like take a long drawn-out fight after the TA BKB is expired, after Axe is already blink called, after the Skyward Mage ulti is used, even just surviving the duration of Rupture, how do they fight on Torus? Like, what do you do past the first like 12 seconds?
That's
and so, and you just look at all these Eon discs and all these like tanky Glimmer Capes, Lotus Orbs, and you have this Monkey King hero that just stands there. Like, there are so many times that they had this Monkey King locked down with like Rupture and stuns and silences, and he's just standing there. And you're like, you know, what do you do? What do you do to this guy in this kind of situation? And overall, I do think it was kind of the Disruptor pick for me, though. Like,
that messed up their laning quite badly.
Yeah, like you have this Bloodseeker where I feel like if he has Undying or something like that, they could actually lane a hero like this and do okay. And then if his start is better, then like suddenly TA doesn't have so much weight on her shoulders, and maybe you get that first Roche.
Yep. And the funny thing is, we were looking through the mid game of that, and we're like, oh, the gold graph is even. That's pretty nice. But when you're playing a TA and TA is having a good game, you're expected to be ahead. Like being even with a free farming TA is a loss.
Because you're up on like 4K on her because she farms so fast.
TA
and then you have to look at the
mid.
rest of the heroes in the game, right?
And it all comes, as always, it largely comes back to the lanes. I think this game wasn't clean enough that you can just be like, oh, if we just had better lanes, we would have won. Because there are so many mistakes across the board, but it definitely would have helped Benjaz get to showcase what the hero and what he can do. And, you know, that was just a tough one. Okay, so what do you say? Is that game?
Yeah.
What do you want to do next game for either team? What do you think?
I just think that Benjaz is a player. I've played with him a lot. That I just look at the team that lost and say, what do we have to do differently? I think SG just stick to the same thing, maybe try to play a bit cleaner. But with Torus, I say give him a strong laner that's going to do well. Maybe even ban out like these Beastmaster type offlaners and just say we're going to secure Benjaz a game. May even look to like dodge like the Skywrath made or the Beastmaster ET type lanes.
So
like
dual lane off lane your carry.
Yeah, exactly. Like just enable Benjaz to have a better start because. It's not just Benjaz having a rough start that changes the game in terms of his own game. You notice that because he has this rough start, the Axe was forced to TP bottom at like 7 minutes into the game. And if you lose the safe lane or like even just slightly lose it where it's under pressure, it affects all your lanes. And so I think that them like having Benjaz on a more enabled carry this game would be – and I think that's done through the supports, by the way. I want to be very clear. I think it's support picks. Because you pick the Sky Axe, you have this aggro dual lane, but then you just have this Disruptor. And I think a lot of teams you're seeing in every region, especially in China, they just have this like babysitting Undying or something like that says, get away from our safe lane. Our carry's going to have a decent start.
All right. I agree. I think that's the way to go for Torus in the next game. Better lanes. We'll see if they're going to go for that after a quick break. We will be back with game number 2 of Torus versus SG.